and I'm here. My name is Tamador Gibreel. اماضر شيخ الدين. أرحب بكم في هذا البرنامج شموع مضيئة. اليوم سنتحدث مع بعض الشباب المهاجرين إلى أمريكا أو المولودين بأمريكا، وهم في حقيقة الأمر هم عائلة، هم أسرة. ف they are going to introduce themselves. I'm going to start from Muhammad Hisham, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Muhammad Hisham. I'm Sudanese, living in the state of North Carolina here in the United States of America.
Muhammad Al-Khitam.
Muhammad Al-Khitam, Sudanese American, in Massachusetts, USA.
Ithar.
My name is Ithar Gabriel, and in Massachusetts, Boston.
Omar.
Hi, I'm Omar Gabriel. I am Sudanese American, and I live in Massachusetts, USA.
Abdurrahman Gabriel. Abdurrahman Gabriel, Sudanese American, also living in West Springfield, Massachusetts.
Aysar.
I am Aysar Farah. I am Sudanese American, and I am living in Connecticut, United States of America.
Basil.
I'm Basil Farah, and we're in the same place.
Are you related? Yusra?
Maybe.
Yusra?
I'm Yusra, and I'm in DC.
Okay, welcome everybody. Where is Amjad? All right, so in this program today, I would like to have a tour in your minds as youth who live in America and who are away from Sudan, and you have been watching or knowing about the revolution in Sudan. So I would like to know, how did you get to know about this revolution? What was your resources? Start from Muhammad Hisham again.
Okay, so I don't like to be first, but that's fine. I've heard about the revolution from the beginning. I remember since December, I believe, of 2018, with a series of demonstrations broke out in several Sudanese cities. I remember very well, Atbara was one of the first places, and then the revolution just spread throughout the country. But I have to be honest here, because I really did not take it seriously in the beginning, because this was not the first time for the Sudanese people to protest against government corruption and total collapse of economy. And I thought it was just going to be one of those, demonstrations, and then it was going to end immediately. So for a long time, I did not pay attention until everyone started to talk about the revolution, and then we started to see images and videos of security forces cracking down on demonstrations using violence and killing youth and injuring hundreds of people. That was the beginning for me, when I knew this is serious and we have to do something about it.
Thank you so much, Muhammad. Can you pass it to someone? You can choose.
Isar.
Sure.
Isar. Okay.
My sources about the revolution is definitely 100% from social media. Instagram played a big role in this, Twitter as well. And Yusra al-Bagir was a great resource for me, and a lot of many other young activists in the social media that I was following. That's how I got to know about the news and learn about what's going on.
Thank you so much, Ithar. So who comes after you?
Basil.
Basil.
Okay. Well, my resources were much like yours, where it was Twitter, Instagram, TV, and my mom especially. Because of how compassionate my mom was about the issue, like it almost felt like it was a first-hand account. So I was invested in the revolution pretty early.
Thank you, Basil. Thank you so much. And thanks your mom for her great inspiration for you. Whom do you choose after you?
I got. So my resources for getting to know about the actual revolution. Well, there was firstly word of mouth from my mother. It's like my brother here. Also, there was I looked up a number of articles online that told me a little bit about the revolution itself, and also there was social media like Twitter, Instagram, and I met many people were talking about it, which it really it encouraged me to become invested in it and to inform myself even more about it.
Well, thank you so much. You are the youngest here. Both Aisha and Basil are my nephews. Their mom is my sister. Muhammad is my nephew. His father is my brother. Okay, whom do you give the chance to talk? Ithar is my my niece. Her father is my brother. Okay, who else? Aisha and Basil, whom do you give the chance to?
Omar.
Omar.
Yeah.
Omar, it's your chance to talk. How did you get to know about the revolution?
My main resources were actually my family, mostly my parents and my brother Mohammed. They were heavily involved in the revolution, and that's where I got most of the information about the revolution from, as well as the major platforms around the world like Instagram, Twitter. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't really involved in the beginning, but that's where I got all the information about the revolution.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you so much for sharing that. And whom do you choose after you?
Abdurrahman, my brother.
Okay.
So I guess very similar start. My parents are quite political discourse, especially in Sudan. So when it started, the revolution started. They were my first form of information, first source of information. And then later on, I had to go back to college. So I didn't really have them around, so I just had to go figure out for myself. So I was looking up news articles, and I was on Twitter, Facebook, and especially Instagram. There was this guy. His username is Ehab the Beast. He gave a weekly play-by-play of the events that unfolded in the revolution. So, yeah.
Thank you so much,
I'll pass it on. Yusra.
Yeah.
Okay, so like everybody else, just being here in America, I feel like our sources were all online. So mine primarily came from social media, mainly Twitter. People live tweeting, live streaming, kind of what was happening, so you can get as much of a secondhand, informant as possible. And that's kind of where I got all my information.
Thank you so much, Yusra. And Mohammed al-Khitam.
Yeah, I think a lot of the surface information was from social media, mainly Twitter, Instagram. I think as far as the details of the revolution goes, as political figures, military leaders, protesters, names, that was detailed information from family members.
A little
bit of both.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I want you, Muhammad, to elaborate a little bit since you're talking right now. And instead of going to another person, I want you to start the next phase of our questions and talk about how engaged were you in the beginning with the resources and the news that came to you about the revolution. How much were you like hooked or impacted by these informations?
Yeah, like Muhammad Hisham said, this isn't the first time that we've the people went against the government and protested. And me being in America, I think that I was very invested in letting people know about the dictatorship in Sudan and the oppression from Omar al-Bashir, especially against Darfur and South Sudan. So I knew about what was going on for a long time, but I became heavily involved when I noticed the consistency from the different parts of Sudan come together. Once I seen that everybody was at it every day, in the military sit-in every day, and just making sure that they don't get a chance. That's when I knew that the revolution was real, and I was very heavily involved on social media and making sure that everybody knew around me what was going on in America.
Thank you. How about you, Ethar?
For me, yeah, this might not be the first time, but I was still as optimistic as the first time. The one before it, that was in September, I was still as optimistic and hopeful. For this one, it was more like it felt like a change is gonna happen. We're about to have like a great revolution ahead of us. And then I was very eager to join and be part of this historical event that was taking place in Sudan. And that's when I was more than willing to put money, everything into this. And that's when Bakri Ali came into place and started the fundraiser for Sudan. And I think a lot of us in the diaspora were more than happy to invest. And also, it felt like as somebody in the diaspora, it was like a responsibility for me. Like we declared for us to become the voice of those leading and maintaining the struggles internally. So, yeah, that was
Thank you.
our part is
that
share the
that
knowledge
is
and share everything on
great.
social media.
Yes, that's great. Very much appreciated. And how about you, Abudi? What college do you go to? You said you were in college when you heard about it. Abudi?
Say that again.
No, I said you just elaborate in this, but I asked you what college do you go to, because you mentioned that you were in college when you heard about it.
Right here. I go to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., which was actually a big plus because the protests that were held in America in support of the revolution occurring in Sudan, in DC and New York. And I actually, I went to both just because of the close proximity between the two locations and how, central and political they are. But away from that, I guess, it's African history has determined that it's not easy to oust an authoritarian regime or a leader that came through a military coup. And in this case, it was both. And, considering the explosive nature of the revolution right from the start, I had felt that this was going to be something different to the past of Sudan's, I guess, protest history. And then that's when I was trying to find every avenue that I could to get engaged. On campus, I was doing a lot of work in terms of like educating my friends in what is going on in Sudan. My job too, we were holding events regarding the revolution, and we were inviting prominent speakers from the DC area and from other universities to come and speak at Georgetown and talk about the revolution and predict the future, I guess, of Sudan. It was a very productive period for me. So yeah, that's how I tried to get engaged.
So much, so much for sharing that. Wow. I'm gonna go back to Yusra.
Yes.
Yeah.
The question?
The question, were you not listening? Because we were saying that about after we get all the resources and we know about the revolution, how did you get involved? Like, how much did you get involved? How strong were you connected to the revolution? And what have you done, like, to participate and become part of the event, even when you are in America?
Sure.
Yes. Please.
So I felt prior to even the revolution, I feel like it was always kind of ingrained in my understanding of being Sudanese, is that we always have to kind of be on the political side of things more than just representing it as a flag or an ethnicity, just because it's part of like our history, our recent history, the reason why I'm in America, period. But I wasn't that enthusiastic towards the beginning, just because there have been random spurts of revolutions and like small fires, but they're always quickly kind of put out by a highly militarized state that kind of scares people back into their homes. But I think the moment that I became optimistic was when, even in the face of that, the people continued. The people were documenting, and the diaspora kind of like made sure that this information was getting propagated internationally so that Sudan can have the proper support to kind of continue on and feel strong. So I think it was kind of like a give and take feedback between the diaspora and the people in Sudan that kind of carried the optimism over. And that's kind of the point where I was extremely involved, because I knew that it can only carry on when I'm involved. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well said. How about Basil? I know you are a high schooler, but what have you done? How did you get more connected or enthusiastic about it? Can you hear me, Basil? We're gonna go to Muhammad. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I lost you. All right. Have you heard the question?
Yeah. When did I start?
Okay.
I think I was more engaged during the spring of last year. That was when I started, spreading more hashtags and reposting information on like my Instagram story and stuff. And I even made 2 art pieces that were based on what was going on when it was current. Like this one here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Okay. No, go back to
Something happening to your connection.
This one here.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Muhammad Hisham. I'm going to go back to Muhammad Hisham. Hi, sir. Get ready. You are next, okay? Muhammad Hisham, can you hear me?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So for me, for me as a Sudanese citizen living outside the country, and of course I was not able to be in Sudan during the revolution with my people as they were protesting, the only thing that I was able to do was to raise awareness on the different platforms and just social media in general, and constantly talking about what was happening, because little to almost no media coverage of the uprising, at least in the beginning of the revolution. And I just felt the urgency to share with my own little community here in North Carolina as much as possible about the events in Sudan, and to encourage my friends.
Sorry, I'm talking to.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I was talking to Amjad. He's trying to come in. Okay. Yes, please continue.
I was
sorry.
just saying,
I apologize.
And I was. No, that's okay. So I was saying that I was encouraging my friends who came from different backgrounds to do the same, because in today's world where the global economy is interconnected, I felt that the world needed to know what was happening in Sudan. I thought that for al-Bashir to step down voluntarily, there had to be international pressure for this outcome, as in the case of Hosni Mubarak in Egypt, for example. But even that in itself was a challenge, because al-Bashir has protected himself and his position through public policy and foreign policy specifically, by entering the war in Yemen, for example. But despite that, I joined advocacy groups from North Carolina who engaged in discussions with several congressional offices in the United States House of Representatives. And as a result of these discussions, two representatives, Congressman Kildee from Michigan and Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal from the state of Washington, introduced a resolution that condemned the attacks on peaceful protesters and supported an immediate peaceful transition to a civilian-led democratic government in Sudan.
Wow, great job. Thank you so much. How about you, Aysar? Wow, I like that background, Aysar and Basil. Who drew this?
Yeah, Basil, of course.
Wow, Basil, that's amazing. Can I see it a little bit?
Thank you.
Just move a little bit,
Yep.
your heads a little bit, so I can see what's going on in the background. A little bit, so that everybody can see the picture. Okay, go ahead, talk, Aysar.
All right. Well, admittedly, in the beginning, I don't think I was as engaged as I should have been. Well, because there, like everyone else has already mentioned, there have been like handfuls of sporadic protests that have happened in the history of Sudan that were usually just shut down almost instantly by the military government, instilling fear on the people. Because, well, of course, they couldn't come together at a grand scale as there had been in this revolution in particular to be able to do anything about it. But now, once I had seen, the enthusiasm from my mother, seeing like her telling me stories of all these sorts of amazing things that the people have done in contradiction to the government. And also, seeing people on social media come together and spread awareness, it also encouraged me to do the same. So I had also, attended a protest in Boston, Massachusetts, for the revolution, and I also continued to, inform my friends and peers about the events that are currently undergoing the Sudanese protests. So, and I hope that they, see. I just hope that it.
By the way, Aysar is 15 years old. Thank you so much for doing that. Amber, it's your turn, my dear. Thank you so much, Aysar, for your contribution. Ahmed?
Yeah. So again, yeah, just like Icer, I mean, I wasn't really involved or engaged in the beginning. Um, I mean, when I was a kid back in Sudan, I mean, I had this fond love, there was this love for Sudan that is like, I don't know, it was just great that I like, when I was a kid, I loved Sudan so much. And when I moved to Malaysia, I still had that love for Sudan with the people of Sudan, what makes Sudan great, just like their food, their tea, I felt that connection even when I left Sudan.
How old were you
Um,
when you moved? How old were you when
I
you
was
moved to
about 7 years
Malaysia?
old.
Huh?
I was 7 years old. I was
Like a
7 years
child.
old.
Okay. A child.
I was a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, and still had that, love and connection for Sudan and its people. And so when I moved to America, 8 years later, and I haven't been to Sudan in about like 12 years or 13 years so far, and just I lost that connection with them. Admittedly, I would say so. And so I wasn't really involved when this revolution came. I saw it on the news and I read about it. I was told about it. But the turning point for me was when I went to the protest in New York City,
Mm.
and it was just amazing to see like all the Sudanese people like from different states coming together. It felt like Sudan in New York. You know what I mean? Like it was a great vibe,
Yep.
and
Hmm.
it was, and that's when I felt like that connection. And I mean, I started to raise awareness after that, on social media, I would start to get more involved. And so I thought that was like a turning point for me. And, it's, again, you don't feel the same way if you're not in Sudan, if you're somewhere else, especially in a country like America or in Europe, you don't feel the same, the way, you don't feel the same way Sudanese people feel in Sudan.
Right.
And
Right. Even the
that
Sudanese
was a,
people who grew up in Sudan, outside the Sudan, they feel the same because ask me about it. We just feel like the goosebumps all over our bodies. We cry late day and night, and you see you. I think you saw your parents doing that, and it wasn't an easy uh,
yeah. I look
experience
at my
for us.
parents.
It was big. Hmm.
Yeah, I look at my parents and they're like Sudanese people, they're from Sudan and they haven't changed a bit. But for me, it has affected me growing up,
Of
and
course.
I
Mm.
want to go back sometime soon.
So now I'm going to ask the biggest question, that what is the real event that makes you like the unforgettable, the one that is inspiring, that happened during the revolution, that will never go away, never go away. And I'm going to start with Ithar again. And I hope
Okay.
if you want to talk about it, if you can give me an image about that thing that captured your mind, that would be great. Tell me, what was it?
Uh, you want me to show it to you through the phone? I don't know.
If you
This is the. I don't know if you can see it, or do you want to see it? Do you want me to share my screen? I can share my
can
screen. I
you
don't know
can
how you
do
guys
that.
want
You
it.
can do that, of course. You can share your screen. What is that? I can't see it very well. Can anybody give her some kind of instruction what to do? So the share screen. You can talk first, then share
Actually,
the screen.
just describe the picture because
Okay, it's just the image of this girl who's trying to climb up, and then the guy gave her his back in order for her to for assistance.
He gave her a
And
bridge to
so
pass.
yeah, so she used his bag upstairs. Yeah. So I think this is very powerful picture because it shows how all Sudanese people were able to come together and unite. Uh, the image is also saying that we are in this together, and it's beautiful. I think that's why this image means a lot to me. Is how you see all Sudanese people coming together for one goal.
Thank you so much. How about you, Muhammad Al Khitam? Can you hear me? Muhammad, you're
unmute.
mute. You're mute. I don't know why. Can you unmute yourself?
You hear me?
We can hear you now.
So I put the virtual background is Qatar al-Abara.
Qatar al-Abara.
Like Isad mentioned earlier, this is where the revolution started. And the train was headed to the. Yes, it should be up now. The train is heading to the military headquarters where the protesters had the sit-in. So
Right.
this is for me the vision that stuck with me and made me realize that once we're unified, there was no losing. As long as we're unified, as long as we come together, we can defeat any evil, and that's what stuck with me for the Sudanese revolution.
Wow, Muhammad, that is powerful. What you just said is powerful. How about Muhammad Hisham?
Well, for me, of course, like the whole thing was really painful. I don't have like a specific picture to share with you, but the June 3rd massacre was by far the biggest event during the revolution, and I'm sure like all of you agree with me. It was just a brutal and barbaric act of violence. The people who know me, they know that I'm not a speechless person, but I'm truly speechless about the horror that the Sudanese people had to witness on that day. I don't know what I can say here, but I think it's not. I think there must be justice for those who were killed and injured through independent investigation with real consequences.
Yep. Well said. Thank you so much. How about you, Aboudi? Abdurrahman.
It was the April 11th event, the official ousting of President Omar al-Bashir. I mean, considering he has been there for 30 years, I had seen this coming, but it was even more special considering that the Kandaka was.
Yeah, continue.
I am very sorry because Amjad just said he couldn't come, and it is almost done. I'm so sorry, Aboudi. I interrupted you. Please tell me.
Okay, Aboudi, continue.
Yeah, sure. But it was even more special considering that the Kandaka were leading this revolution, and it's hard to see how this would have succeeded without the Sudanese women by any means. So yeah.
Thank you, Umar.
So for me, it's that one picture where a woman's standing on a car and she's like surrounded by a crowd of people, kind of like cheering her on, and she was like leading the chant. It was just an amazing picture to look at. Obviously, I mean, it raises the question of why isn't there women in power in Sudan? And for the future, we hope to see more women involved. Obviously, I mean, the Kandaka led this whole revolution, so
thank you.
We should see more women in power.
Thank you so much, Umar. I said, Ambassador, it's your turn. Say it.
Okay. Well, there was a number of events that really it inspired me, but also some that also completely made me just shocked in general. There's nothing really to say about that. Like, for example, the event where the martyrs were killed, and also the countless amount of times where children themselves were killed. It really showed how cruel and inhumane the Sudanese military government was, and also, but I think like apart from that, the most like inspiring events that had happened. Well, to begin with, there was that image that has already been spoken of the woman standing on the car in front of the group of people, as in the virtual background here that was drawn by Basil. I thought that was like a real symbol of hope. That
Wow.
it was really it really inspired, I guess, millions of people, I could assume, as well as myself. And also the event of the sit-in, or seeing like that the thousands of people gathered, all with the same cause, just to have their to gain their justice and to completely contradict this military government that they had endured for so long, I thought.
Thank you so much,
Do you
Aisha.
mind me
That was
interrupting?
powerful. Your words were really powerful. And Basil, this drawing is amazing. It's amazing, and I'm so proud of you. Tell me. Hello. I don't think that's
Isa,
what
wanted to say something.
I just want to add something to the
Okay.
image that I was that I showed you guys earlier. That the woman in Sudan has always been oppressed and downgraded. I mean, still is. But in this particular picture, is a group of small group of men are actually helping her rise instead.
That's right. Yes. So yeah, thank you
I
so
wanted
much
to
for
add
saying
that.
that. You know, we
Can I-
cannot do
can I
it
add something
without
as
each
well?
other. Huh?
Can I add something as well, Ahmed?
Please, yes, yes, yes.
I just want to say that, like, when women in Sudan were protesting and in the forefront of the revolution, they were doing so with a different kind of spirit. Like the images that we have seen were extremely powerful, because for women in Sudan, it wasn't just economic hardships. For them, it was their basic human dignity. It was their basic human rights. Women in Sudan were criminalized just for being themselves. So they were like, we would rather die in the streets than go back home to repression. And that's why I think we've seen like this kind of spirit and this kind of leadership from women from all generations throughout Sudan.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Good point. Thank you.
Great point. How about Basil? I didn't hear from you, Basil.
Okay. Well, yeah, various events really inspired me during the revolution. You know, especially the iconic image of the Kandaka, which I represented here. But also what really inspired me was seeing various photos and videos of people during the sit-ins and the like outside the military headquarters, where you would see them performing music and displaying art on walls as like, you know, murals and street art, and seeing like this community of people help each other by serving each other food and water to make sure that, you know, they could stick together during the whole thing.
Mhm.
And yeah, especially like the peaceful displays of art like really touched me, because
You know that
you don't
they remove everything after that. They wiped it out and they killed they use. I don't want to go. I don't want to go sad. We just focus on your minds and your opinions and your lovely thoughts. So, as a final thought, I want to ask you, everybody, as a final thought, what would you do to Sudan going from here? What do you think about what's happening now? Whatever you want to comment about, I'm going to give you a last chance to say something about what happened, what is happening now, and the future. Tell me, which one do you choose? What can you do? Ithar, start. Sorry, we lost Yusra. We lost Yusra. Yes. Ithar, your final thoughts? You want me to go to somebody else to give you some time?
Yes, please.
Okay. I will go to Muhammad Hisham.
Okay.
I really don't know what I can give Sudan, but I will give Sudan everything that I could. And if I'm asked to be in Sudan today to do something, I would gladly do it. My last thought about this whole discussion, I just want to say that the aftermath of the Sudanese revolution should not induce complacency. We have got a lot of work to do. We have got a lot of issues to deal with. This ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has exposed so many weaknesses in our systems, including the healthcare system. And maybe one day I would love to be in Sudan helping our healthcare system, as this is something that I just finished studying in
By
college.
the way, congratulations, Muhammad Hisham just had his second master degree in public health. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yes. And
Thank you
congrats
so
to
much.
Basit. He just graduated high school. Okay, Umar, I want to know your final thought.
I'm gonna continue raising awareness. I mean, obviously the revolution is not even over yet. We still have like work to do for everyone that's around the world. That's for every Sudanese person. You know, there's still work to get done that has to be done. And I think that justice should be served, you know, for people who are oppressed for almost 40 years or even more than that. I think it should be served, and moving forward, that should be our goal for that.
Thank you. And Muhammad Al-Khitam, can you hear us? You seem like your pictures. Like
Yes.
Okay, say.
Like Omar said, every day is a fight. The revolution is still going on. We have a lot to do. I think at some point we have to fix what has happened, not only on the June 3rd massacre, but with South Sudan. Well, we have to at some point come together, because we are Sudanese people, and we're all one Sudanese people, and we need to, if we can come back to one Sudan, that is ideal.
Yes.
It was inevitable. It was unfortunate that they split.
Keep your fingers crossed.
After our work is done, we should become one.
Wow, powerful. Thank you so much. How about you, Abudi?
I will again emphasize that the revolution is not over and there's work to be done. But the most important thing to remember is that we are all still human, and in that sense, let's not forget about our mental health, and let's not forget to take care of ourselves, and let's not ignore the trauma that we have all been through. Let's not hide our emotions. Let's not put our feelings away. Let's put it out there. Let's put ourselves out there for others, who need us, pure solidarity, because that is how we truly move forward. Because if you are hurt, you're going to have a hard time doing what's best. So let the Sudanese people focus on their mental health, on their emotional health.
You just came to my league. That's what I do. Mental health.
Of the entire.
Thank you, Abudi, for reminding us with ourselves. We are selfless. You know, in Sudan, people are really selfless. They just give it all. I'm not generalizing, because there is Kazan in Sudan. I'm going to give Aysel the last thought, because he's the youngest. So Basil is going to go before you, Aysel. Basil.
Of course, as I've mentioned, it's not finished. So I want Sudan to keep doing what they're doing, and And to improve Sudan even further, I think they should look at other examples of, Africa trying to improve, like Botswana and Rwanda, and for other reforms, I think we should listen to the women of Sudan. Even improve the country even further.
Everybody go like that. Everybody go like that. Okay. I'm listening.
All right. Well, firstly, as already mentioned, it's important that our efforts, and more importantly, the efforts of the Sudanese people, do not insinuate feelings of complacency, and that there is more work to be done. But firstly, it's necessary that us as people in the United States should continue to spread awareness so that those in power may intervene and try Omar al-Bashir for his crimes, and also to disband the military government of Sudan, and to ultimately put women in power so that their social situation are not neglected, and that for the betterment of the future of Sudan is put into consideration.
Okay. We do refer to this revolution as a revolution of awareness. So I hope we continue raising awareness. And my vision for the future of Sudan is non-racist, non-sexist, non-tribal future Sudan. And I take pride in this revolution, and I hope we continue inspiring each other.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What a beautiful thought. And Yusra, what is your final thought?
My final thoughts is everything Ahfad says. Also, women in positions of power. We need to get rid of Himeti. Bashir gets tried for his actions. Give people in Darfur the reparations they deserve. Marginalized tribes having access to resources and land, their own places, and everything that we do love. Everything that we do love about Sudan. So
thank you so much. And you guys are amazing. You are incredible. I really appreciate your time and your opinions and your thoughts and just sharing everything with me here today. I'm really proud of you, and I just want everybody to make a funny face and say goodbye. مع السلامة بالعربي. Can we do that? Because it was a heavy material, like it's very sad talking about Sudan all the time, but it's optimistic and lovable. I appreciate you and thank you so much. شكرا أعزائي المشاهدين. كانت تلك الحلقة الأولى من برنامج شموع على اليوتيوب، تقديم تماضر شيخ الدين.